Hello everyone, welcome to a Paper Flourish craft video. My name is Julie and I'm going to make a card today using the lovely Visible Image Totally Toadstool stamp set. This is one of the new stamps we've just got into Paper Flourish. We've expanded our range of Visible Image, and not only do we have stamps such as this stamp set, as do several of the Visible Image stamps, now have the matching die set. So I'm going to be using the dies to cut out the images to pop on the card. So we have expanded our range of Visible Image products at Paper Flourish because these stamps, stencils, the dies, everything about this range is amazing. Now I'm going to start. Number one, my background is going to be on Lavinia Multifarious cardstock, this one here, the white. And the background of the card I've done at 5 inches square. So my finished card will end up being 5.5 inches square. So I'm just going to pop that to the side for the moment because I want to make a background which I'm going to then cut the toadstools out of. And I'm going to do this just by blending some Distress Oxide inks. And I'm going in sort of oranges, yellow tones for my background. So I'm going to start with I'm going to use the Tim Holtz blender Wild Honey Distress Oxide to begin. And I'm just going to add some blending onto the card. Just in places. It's a great colour. Wild Honey. Then we're going to go with the gorgeous Twisted Citron. Stunning lime green colour. Just got to find a sponge to work that in. Not being too worried about blending it beautifully together. I just want to get the different colours onto the card. Lots of Twisted Citron because that's one of my favourite colours. Let's add a bit of yellow mustard seed. Quite a nice deep yellow. Okay. Rustic Wilderness, so just a touch of dark green on there. We'll just get a little bit of that on the card. A little bit of dark green around, maybe a little bit in here. And the last one I'm going to add in is some nice carved pumpkin. This is a brighter orange colour. I said I'm not worrying about blending it beautifully together. I just want to get those colours onto the card. So I'm going to dry this with the heat tool, give it a good dry. Now I'm going to stamp the images. Now there are 4 on this stamp set. I'm going to use these 4 toadstools and I'm going to stamp them onto the background with the Versafine Clair Nocturne. So I'm not going to emboss them this time. I just want the look of the Nocturne ink. So let's start with, I'm just going to do one of them at a time. Let's start with the larger one first. Ink it up with Nocturne. And stamp that onto the card. Give it one more go. So we've got to get a nice dark image. And there we are. And so I'm just going to do one at a time. So we'll do the exact same thing with each of the toadstools, but I'll just show you one at a time the process, and then I'll go ahead and do the other 3 as well. But they're all done exactly the same way. Now that was the largest one. Doesn't take long, the Nocturne, to dry. So now I'm going to get the matching die from the die set that comes for this stamp set from Visible Image. It's got several dies in this set for not only for the It's got them for the toadstools, some of the little piles of rocks, things like that. So I'm going to place this onto the card, and then with my removable tape, hold it in place. We'll run this through the die cutting machine. And it's going to cut it out beautifully. So I'll run that through the die cutting machine. Here are the 4 mushrooms. So I said with each of them, I've stamped them with the Versafine Clair Nocturne and then used the dies to cut them out. So these are the 4 that are going to go onto my background. I'm just going to pop them up here for the moment so I don't lose them. So let's work on the background of the card now. So here's my piece of Multifarious cardstock. I'm going to start by adding just a little bit of background stamping, and I've chosen to use from another visible image stamp, the Grunge tones, and this stamp here, sort of the larger circles. I've got that on a Lavinia acrylic board, and I'm going to stamp with the Stamperia Dye Ink Pad, and this is the one called Nature, and it's a nice deep green colour. I just want to add a couple of stamps towards the top of the card. One like that. There we go. Just to add a little bit of interest into the background. And let's add another one maybe over this side. There we go. I'm not going to add any more because there's going to be the toadstools and some other stamping happening near the bottom of the card. Well, that's the plan at this point anyway. Okay, so that's the Grunge tones. Now another stamp I am going to use on the Totally Toadstool stamp set. There's some little piles of almost like rocks. There's grass. So we're going to have a play with some of those stamps as well. I'm going to start with this little pile of rocks. There is a sentiment, nature heals the soul. So I'm thinking of putting that down the bottom of the cards. We might do that now as well. And I'm going to stamp this. So let's start with the sentiment first. Let's get that in place. Versafine Clair Pinecone. This is a deep brown. Let's pop that down here in the bottom corner. Just like that. And I'm going to use the same colour, the Pinecone, to also do the little pile of rocks. I'm thinking of placing this just down here in the bottom corner next to the sentiment. I think it's meant to be a pile of rocks. Could be a little pile of mushrooms or toadstools, I don't know. But today it's going to be some rocks. Okay. Now I am going to do some of the grass as well. I do want to bring that onto the card, but I'm going to stamp that. I think I'm going to emboss it with some of the embossing glazes. I've got 2 out here, 2 greens, Twisted Citron, and I've also got the Rustic Wilderness. So I think we'll do the grass in those. Just going to give it a quick dry just to make sure that ink is dry. My Antistatic Pad, and this is going to go over the card. Just to make sure those glazes only go on the image where I want it to. Okay, starting with the big lot of grass first. Let's put that on the acrylic board, and I'm going to get a piece of photocopy paper ready for the embossing powder. The large grass, which is this one here, I'm thinking of putting it around about here. And I'm going to do that in the Twisted Citron. So let's do that first. Ink it up in the Versamark Embossing Ink Pad. Okay, let's stamp that onto the card. And let's place it about here. Good press. Acting quickly. Get that Twisted Citron powder onto it. Good colour for grass. Look at that. Beautiful, vibrant green. I'll just heat that with the heat tool to emboss it. And there we are. That's embossed on there now. Can you see it there, all nice and shiny? Very pretty. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more grass, but this time I might do some variations of colour. So I'll get one of the smaller grass stamps that are on the set, and this time we might use the Rustic Wilderness. So this time might go with something like this one here. So same thing, got the Rustic Wilderness all ready to go. Ink up the stamp with the Versamark. And this time we might stamp this sort of just underneath where I've done the twisted Citron. Let's get that on there straight away. Rustic Wilderness, deep green, and I'll just heat that up. It goes nice and clear. So now we've got both sections of grass there done with the Distress embossing glazes, and there's one thing missing. That would be our toadstools. So they've been patiently waiting over here, so let's work out where to place the toadstools on the car. And once I'm happy with where they're going, I'm going to glue them on with the 450 glue, this one here, the Clair craft glue. So this little one, I want to bring down the bottom, sitting on that pile of rocks. So that's an easy one. Let's pop that on first. Toadstools, just sit that one down there. You can see now the colours we used to ink up that background that we die cut the stamped and die cut the toadstools from. The colours now all sort of start to match in. Big toadstool, I'd like that one to go in the middle. Thinking of maybe tucking this one in behind it, and maybe this one might just sit in front like that, something like that. So let's stick this one here down first. You could raise them up with mounting tape if you wanted to, add that little bit of extra depth to the card. Let's pop that one in there first, and then this one here. In front. I'm just going to do it with the 450 today. Keep the card a little bit flatter, but they would look really nice done with the mounting tape. Okay, a little collection of toadstools. Maybe we could do that with this one. Maybe I'll bring that one a little bit forward. Should we try that? Put a little bit of mounting tape under this one. There's my mounting tape. Do that. Okay, got a little bit of it here. Tape. Bring this one just slightly forward. Down a little bit. Something like that. Not sure I'm happy they're there. That's better. Now I'm a bit happier. Okay, so there's our Totally Toadstools. There's my Totally Toadstools card. I'm going to pop this on a card with just a black mat around it. I think that might look really nice. And onto the white card base, which if this is 5-inch square, your card base will end up being, I'll end up doing it 5.5-inch square. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful day and keep watching for craft videos from Paper Flourish. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.